welcome to the terrific podcast. And I am here today with Karen Perry. I'm Terry Watkins, your host, and I'm very excited to have Miss Karen with us today. Karen Perry offers a space for grace enterprises to those ready and willing. Karen is a spiritual, executive, energy leadership, and life coach to entrepreneurs and cultural creatives. She's a certified professional coach and energy leadership index master practitioner. Oh my goodness, she's so amazing. Certified energy scan healer practitioner and former emerging edge master coach, CPA, and financial executive. She has worn many hats, ladies and gentlemen. If we can learn anything from anybody, it is Miss Karen. She's got a lot to share with us. Karen supports clients globally to live their most authentic life, reflecting their highest vision and deepest desires. Creator of Peacefully, Playfully, Powerfully You, executive and leadership coaching process, Karen loves to expand the spark of possibility. Karen's intention: expect to be awed and amazed. Delivers proof that living life from the inside out creates abundance. Karen is associated with development of approximately $500 million in multifamily affordable housing in the southern U.S., expressing her purpose of love. Please join me in welcoming Miss Karen Perry to our show. Thank you. I'm so glad that you're here with us today.
I'm so glad to be here and just excited for what you're bringing to everyone too with these terrific tips from Terry.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't resist the fact that Terry is in the word terrific.
Of course. I love it. I love that.
Terrific tips.
I love play on words, and it's super fun.
Yeah.
Words are always pointers to something pretty powerful.
That's right. Exactly. So, hey, I wanted you on the show today because we're in a really interesting time right now. And you are somebody who is very talented and has a lot that you can share with us. But I thought you might be able to bring some sunshine and some fun into our new life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really fun watching everything unfold and to see kind of where we grow as individuals and as communities, and where our culture and all of our systems start to emerge. And I personally have a deep suspicion that it won't be too long that everything will look completely different. And I'm excited about it. And all of us get to be a part of it. At the same token, I'm seeing a lot of social media. When can we get back to normal? Let's get back to normal. And the fun thing is, as I've seen other people commenting on, oh, it's crazy right now, it's crazy. And prior to this, we were also crazy busy. We human beings are fickle and funny. So we may as well learn to laugh at ourselves, the sooner the better, because we've been given a perfect opportunity to slow down and be still and to take advantage of this time to reevaluate and discover who we really are, who we want to be, and letting go of what doesn't work and what no longer serves us. And
I've been having a lot of conversations like that in the last couple of weeks from people who are in leadership positions, either in their house or within their company or for themselves. They're having to lead themselves through this. And what does that look like for them? And I think it looks very different for everybody. We're all in the same storm, but we're all in different ships. And we need to decide how we're going to be the captain of our own ship throughout this situation. And then also having that moment of, yes, everything has to be still. Be home. Be okay with being still, because it is a rejuvenation for Mother Nature and for ourselves as individuals.
Well, it's I've done a lot and come up with mnemonics for easy things to remember, and I have sayings for 3F, 3S, 3D.
That's why I love
all these fun things. But one of the things that is happening. 3D, we're moving to 5D. And if you're plugged into spiritual communities, our energetic vibrations, our planet's going through changes. We've seen it coming for a while. Whether that be true or not, that's not what we're here to talk about. But dream and do, dream, dare, do is a 3D fun thing that I've often said. And in the 5D, you can start it with discover, dream, dare, do, and then dismantle. It's like we have to be willing to let go of everything that we think we know, have the courage to rediscover or discover what's really here. What is it? And to do it differently. And that takes a lot of courage or dare. You have to be daring in order to do something different. Yeah. And one of the things I've heard a lot of leaders say right now is, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I'm loving this being at home. I'm loving this way to communicate that is less busy. And, you know, what I was like, you know, we've spent so much money on and energy on infrastructure, which depletes resources from our beautiful planet. And it's like, now what's possible? Yeah. So as everybody starts to look at things differently, it's just going to be amazing to see what comes out of this. And one of the most important things is to get fear out of the way. And I mean, we're always going to be fearful. It has a purpose. It's a flag trying to get your attention and says, alert, alert, outside of comfort zone, alert. And that's where the 3 and 5D we just talked about comes into play, is to be still, listen, and then trust your inner compass and guidance and take a giant leap of faith and do it anyway.
So I have a question for our listeners out there who are kind of feeling anxious or panic over this be still concept.
Yeah.
Do you have a tip that might help them become more comfortable with this process of being still and listening to that inner voice? Because that's something, if you're not used to doing it, can be kind of jarring if you're not sure how to do it.
Well, it's interesting that we talk about the inner voice. We can call it the inner critic, the ego, the false self, so many things in a not so helpful way, very often. And yet the still small inner voice, our intuition, our guidance, our connection to source, God, love, life, universe, whatever you call it, I promise you it's not going to be offended nearly as much as we all are. But regardless, this is about bringing awareness to a paradox that's always been in existence. And what we're seeing right now is a great polarization and divide as to appearing opposites. And so it's collapsing it all within ourselves. And knowing that not only am I the still one, the calm one, the confident one, I can also be very anxious and the chatter incessant. And right now, the beauty of everything is it's getting heightened for us to really look at. We can see it in others so beautifully, but let us not get too interested in what's happening out there, because what's happening in here, well, let's not get too interested in that either. It's like not following it down the rabbit hole. For the, Alice in Wonderland, it just drives us insane. So it's to notice it and then thank for whatever's coming up, and then just keep being curious, ask questions, or even just go, yeah, I'll get to that later, just to get stiller and stiller. It's daily practices. It takes practice to do this. We don't go from anxiety to peace in 5 seconds. If anybody's figured out a way, that would be brilliant.
They'd be millionaires, I'm sure. They will be my next guest on the show if anybody wants to find that person.
It's possible. It's possible. All things are possible. Unfortunately, us human beings tend to hold on really, really tightly. And we letting go tends to be this process. Many people have called it a dark night of the soul. And we're seeing this globally right now, what appears to be a very dark night, that from one level of perspective, our perception could be very woe is me. This is catastrophic. Everybody's going to die, and could be, could, should.
Yeah.
Anytime we could or should stop, because now we're either fearful and worried and resistant to what is showing up now. We're trying to rewrite the past, or we're trying to freak out about something in the future that's not real. So everything is calling us to be in this moment. And in this moment, you're okay. Even if we were not at the optimum of our health, if you really got still enough and got to the center in that moment, you will discover who you really are, and you're okay. It's changeless. So how does this help a business owner, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, you know me, it's like, you've heard me say this, Terry, just because we know one another, but it's about cutting ties with the lies and getting tethered to the truth, and the truth that's your truth as you see it now. And always, always, always inviting yourself to a greater and greater awareness. One of the things that I discovered is that every minute, like every day, I'm not the same person I was. Something will go, aha, oh, now I get it, now I understand. And I'm like, why did I ever think that? Whatever that was. And it makes no sense. And I was like, oh, because we all have these greater awarenesses and greater insights, and we're able to let go of a way we saw something, and we see it differently, and it's a whole new world.
Every moment is a new opportunity for hindsight vision.
Yeah, and well, and those are great experiences, and they're just there to experience it, so then we get to new experiences and see things differently. So one of the things that I've worked with individuals and executives and business owners in particular is what I call V3, values and vision to victory. It's coming to know for yourself individually, what is your core, what makes you tick, what do you really want, what does victory and success look like for you, and then doing the same for your business. Additionally, everyone that you employ or contract with is to take the time to be still, to slow down, and to get to know what someone else's values and visions are, and does it align, and cutting the ties that don't, not in a judgment way of they're bad, they're evil, or it's just different. It just doesn't align. They're not where you are.
Yeah.
So many times we get invested in relationships and people, as we should. That's a good thing. I just shouldn't.
We want to. It is part of the human experience to be engaged and interested in others. So it's not a matter of we should do it. It's a matter of it's part of the human experience to do it.
Exactly. And so it's finding and aligning with people willing to grow and evolve as you are.
Yeah.
Which means is anytime any two people come together, or groups of people, there's a proverb that says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. We're here to help each other grow. It's someone shows us what we're gifted at, and what we may not be as strong, so we complement one another.
Yeah.
Also, they push our buttons and trip our triggers. We don't want people just agreeing with everything that we say, because what good is that? What do I know?
It doesn't help us grow if we always have somebody agreeing with everything we say. It helps us grow when somebody challenges our thought pattern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, because we only know what we know, and we've only learned it based on our points of view. So there's a whole myriad of other things out there available to us. However, that core, that tether, is in values that how they express looks different. So we get so many business models, and coaching very much talks about measurements. Is it measurable? Is it specific? And setting these specific goals. And the ego and the mind loves that because it gives it a job and it can check it off the list and it seems very tangible. And that's true. And there's more. If it's not aligned with the deeper core values, very quickly, all those external things send you off on tangents that look and seem very reasonable and logical. And if it's not also tied in with that core of who you are, you can very easily lose yourself. And I really think that's why such a large percentage of small businesses fail in the first 5 years, is because we get so caught up in the doingness that the beingness of it is not maintained actually in more importance.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And at the same time, one of the challenges I think small business owners face regularly is we're wearing multiple hats. So you feel a time crunch on your day to get everything done. And so what you let slide and what you let slip tends to be personal development because I can do it tomorrow or I can do it later. But at the end of the day, because you've let that slip, what's actually slipping is your ability to be and your ability to be okay with receiving constructive criticism, being able to properly tether and engage with others that you maybe have within your organization as employees or as clients. So I would say one of the biggest reasons small business owners fail is not the lack of access to funding, the lack of access to education materials, or the lack of access to support, which is what a lot of business owners would say. It's the lack of giving yourself permission to learn, giving yourself permission to be still, giving yourself permission to engage and connect on a human level with the people that you're working with.
And if you look at all the success principles, Jack Canfield, if you read any of Richard Branson, Napoleon Hill, going back to Stephen Covey, if you look at all these folks, they all have some type of daily practice and daily review of what's gone well and what may have not gone so well. They also have a time of separation and quietness and daydreaming and reflection. Go lay in a hammock and make things up out of clouds. Let your creative imagination run rampant and run wild. It is, things come to you. We tap into a source greater than ourselves. So if we're trying to run a business on fear of survival and I have to make money and, I want to go help people, I have to go save the world in this way, that's still distorted because we're looking outside of our own self. Again, it's a balance. It's an outside in and an inside out, but staying tethered to this fun place where we're challenging everything that we think we know consistently. And we're surrounding ourselves with people who will help us to do that. We discover, and it happens without you even knowing how it happens, which the ego hates. The ego always wants to know, well, just give me the 5 steps. And most of the time, what stops us from true success is we're trying to figure out the 500 steps, and our mind goes so far in the future that we create anxiety now and we never start. So we freak out and we're like, I don't know how, and I stop. So in one of the brilliant ways, here's another acronym for all our viewers, and it's one I've been sharing and teaching a lot lately. And it's a lot of power to it if you pay attention and slow down, and I would encourage you to write this down. It's about how.
I hope all of our listeners are taking notes, because the nuggets that you are providing for helping them to organize, but yet still release and let go of the need for organization have been beautiful in this conversation. Yeah. So I hope they've taken notes.
I mean, in my own vision statement, because believe me, I have been through all this, anxious, stress, health issues. I used to not hire anyone that wasn't a self-proclaimed multitasker. And then I complained about the chaotic environment that my work was, and why isn't anybody ever helping me? And I'm like, no wonder. I've set people up for failure, including myself. So the culture that is around you, you create. And I did a great job of creating crazy. And our language is important. Let go of that. Let go of any words or limits or languaging. You must change it. Stop the craziness. Remove it from your vocabulary. Talk about how my vision statement says, I have all the help and support I need. And just in that one statement, often I come back to it and go, oh yeah, I remember now. I don't have to know how.
For all of our listeners, I don't know if you just heard what she did there, because we're on audio as well. But what she just did was she took a deep breath in, she touched her chest, and she let it go, because she realized that she has all of the help that she ever needs. And she let go of that anxiety that was building up in her to come back to that peaceful place. So breathing is a really big thing. And that's something that you taught me long ago.
Well, and it's interesting. Thank you for being aware of the video that's happening, because I've been doing daily practices for so long. And some of them I was resistant for a long time. And I had to get leverage with myself and committing. And many religions and have prayer hands, or the namaste. You will see, and it's touching your sternum where your heart is. It's bringing awareness into your body. And then we bow our heads, symbolizing surrendering our head to our heart. And the heart is the center. And now neuroscience and heart science has shown that our hearts have like 40 million or billion neuroreceptors that are the same as brain cells. So actually there's more communication from heart to the brain than there are from signals from the brain to the heart. So I study all this. Cool. It's very cool. So it's interesting that you notice me doing that, because what it does is just that touching signifies and slows everything down. Mm-hmm. And so in my sharing, I started remembering. I never left. I'm right here. But in my remembering, even in sharing with you all, telling you about the times that I was very anxious, my cadence, everything sped up. So the memory of those experiences created a physical expression. And because I've been doing the daily practices so long, I naturally just took a deep breath to slow myself down and bring myself to breath. So the point is, creating a daily meditative, contemplative, centering practice is critical to success.
And if you listen to Ed Milet like I do, I follow his stuff. He's had several awesome interviews with world leaders, actors, athletes, all of these amazing people in his career. And in just about every single one of them, they talk about the power of that pause and the power of the vision. And it's not just vision casting like you see a potential future. It's a matter of feeling every moment of what that potential future could look like. It's a matter of being in that potential moment of that possible future. The more you can take that pause and do that, the more likely that is to become reality, because you're telling your subconscious that that's the reality that you are living in consciously, even if in reality it's not here yet. And there's something very powerful about how when we tell our subconscious mind to do something, how it actually forces it to come to be. And Karen, hold on just a second. I have people about to walk through the backyard.
Okay. Hello. Well,
so we'll cut this part out.
So
eventually they're not going to be able to do that because I'm going to put a fence up back there. Okay.
All is well. It just shows that life happens. I think it's a beautiful presentation, because life is continually unfolding and we're living it. So we rarely get perfect conditions. And who would want that anyway? Where's the fun in that? So this is perfect. I love it. Everything always unfolds perfectly.
That's
To
right.
give a living, your life is your workshop. And it is, don't shake your fist at it. Be grateful. Gratitude and the breath, or if you don't do anything but breathe properly and practice gratitude, your life will change dramatically.
And gratitude is something that a lot of the world leaders talk about too. And having that attitude of, if you cannot be thankful for the things that you have right now in your life, how will you ever expect to have the things that you desire? You
Yeah.
can't. You have to be thankful for everything that you have in order to get more of what you want.
Well, it's not about getting. So one of the things that we've been talking all around so far is acting as if you're activating. So the idea of visioning, what I call values, vision to victory, you mentioned the feelings of it. And even as I talked about my own, and we witnessed my own physical reactions about thinking of the past. The same thing happens when you're projecting into the future, i.e. their vision. But the idea of the values is actually tying to qualities or states of being that you really want. We don't care about the things. That may shock some people, but I promise you, when you go deep enough, it's never about the thing. It's not about the person. It's not about the loved one, the children, the house, the spouse. It's never about the job or it's never about how many people you serve or widgets or gadgets you produce and sell at what profit mark. None of that matters. None of that matters. What matters to each of us is how we want to feel, what we want to experience, and how we think that needs to express. So the more we detach from any outcome, I promise you the universe will bring you more than you could ever imagine. The whole point of having a vision and even setting goals is to really tap you into the frequency of success, a vibration of the feeling, the qualities that you want to be experiencing. Mm-hmm. How you get them, you can get them in a myriad of ways. How you get there doesn't matter. And what produces doesn't matter. So the whole point is to bring into now, into this moment, which is all that there ever is now. Future's not here yet. The past has already been. So now, right now, where your thoughts go is where your energies are following. So if your thoughts are worrying about stuff that may never happen in the future, or figuring out how you're going to get this exact thing to look like that, that's great as long as it's activating the feelings you want to be experiencing. If you're stuck in the past or feeling stuck now at the effect of situations or circumstances, that's where most people are. We've been conditioned and told that we're in a fight or flight, and those are only two choices. And that's very destructive and debilitating. So it's no wonder we're seeing more health challenges and more disease and unhappiness in people that are unfulfilled, is because we've been lied to and we believe the lie. That's all very catastrophic. And there's the whole plethora of expansion and growth and nurture and healing is beyond that. So the values and vision and victory is to activate right now. What do I want to experience? How will it feel like if I were to have this success and feel like this and were to live these qualities? So the questions then become very powerful for us is, how do I do that now? And so I haven't forgotten that we were going to come back and share that acronym.
Yes.
For how. And so here we go, write this down. H is with humility and honesty. Mm-hmm. And it's humility and honesty in the truest sense with ourselves. You've got to get real honest with yourself. And
if you can't be honest with yourself, who can you be honest with? You have to be honest with yourself first so that
Well,
you then,
most of us don't know how to do that.
yeah.
We've not experienced it. We've been so
Or
conditioned.
we're afraid to. We're afraid of what we might find if we're honest with ourselves.
Well, yeah, our map of the world started at a very young age, thinking we're separate from everyone, and we're trained very quickly to identify which one's different. And then all of a sudden, we just want to fit in. And we've been conditioned from, 3 years old or younger, actually, to behave in certain ways so that we're behaviorally like everybody else. So our individuality is not acceptable.
And
And
there's actually, I was in a woman's conference around this time last year, and there was a lady who was speaking, and you know that actually that process starts for girls at around 9 years old, that we stop asking ourselves. She actually witnessed this happen with her daughter. She was having a sleepover, and it was a birthday party. She had boys there and girls there, and everybody was there, and it was a big birthday party, and the girls were getting ready to break off to go and do their sleepover, and the boys were going to stay and do their sleepover. And she came down and checked into the playroom because they were watching a movie, and she asked everybody if they were hungry. The boys were like, yeah, we'll eat some popcorn, pizza, whatever you got, pretzels, right? The girls were like, hold on a minute. And they looked at each other without saying a word, looked at each other, delegated who was in charge of answering the question, and were able to effectively determine we're not going to eat anything right now, right? Right. And so the person who was supposed to speak somehow decided nobody of the girls are eating anything right now. We're good, even though their stomachs are ripping in half because they're hungry. Yeah.
So a lot of the science has shown that that's all formed by 7 years old. And so anyway, what we now have to do as adults, as business owners, is start to take responsibility. And we've heard this for a long time, is first and foremost for ourselves, first and foremost for our own experiences. And it's not up to us to fix anyone else. It's not up to us. What it is for us to create what that looks like and be the leader in our own life and let everything else fall into place. And when we do the magic thing, and it seems counterintuitive for the way we've been so used to thinking, is that it really does work. I don't know how. I don't have to. I've given that up. I've given up trying to duplicate it. And what I have begun to trust more and more and to teach people is to trust their own inner guidance and surround themselves with people that do the same thing. Meaning each of us has to continually help others do that. So we have to create that safe environment for us to the ego seems vulnerable, but when actually is accentuating our invulnerability, the oneness in all of us, which is not conditioned upon external. So when we create that feeling tone, the vibrational frequencies, and we exist in that higher levels of being, the world brings us experiences, i.e. success and victory, that then aligns with what we really desire. Mm-hmm. And so it always is an inside out job. And whatever's showing up out there and seen and manifest in visible form only ever shows us what's been going on in here in our thoughts. So the how is with humility and honesty with yourself. Doesn't mean self-deprecation. It means truly valuing the perfection of who you are right now. You're perfectly you. Perfect. You're it. You're you. Nobody else can be you. You're the only one. You came here to be you. The world needs you to be you. And to be the leader in your own life. Therefore, you are a leader in the world, and you're showing other people that it's okay to do the same. So humility and honesty. The O is openness. You've being open to whatever's showing up in your life and being willing to let go of what no longer serves you. And all these, it shows up as addictions and numbing behaviors and zoning out and tuning out behaviors, which we've become very adept with. But we have to be present. We have to be awake and conscious. And then the W is willingness and wonder. We have to be willing to create that change. Open to it first, and then we got to be willing to let things go that doesn't serve us. And that can be challenging. And then we have to be willing to bring new things in and try it. If it doesn't work, you can let it go again. Right. So it's always this cycle. And if you approach things with wonder, going, oh, wonder what happens if you touch this? Oh, stove's hot. Wait, the stove's hot. How many, most all of us have scars or burns or
that stove is hot.
Remember touching the stove, it's hot. We're told, don't touch the stove, it's hot. Most of us.
But it's funny how what happens as we grow, we stop asking the questions. We stop asking, but why? We stop asking, I wonder what it would happen if. And that's what keeps us still, instead of allowing us to be free.
Right. We get afraid because our love it appeared to be conditional. We wouldn't get the certificate. We wouldn't get the award. We wouldn't win the deal. We wouldn't win the client. We wouldn't there's a punishment. We're going to have to give something up in order to get something. That it's just, you get everything you have, and everything that's possible will come to you. And even though we all touch the stove, we're all here to laugh about it and talk about it. We've all survived everything we've ever experienced. So what the heck are we afraid of?
Right. Well, and I would say too, anybody who has been successful or has been a leader in industry or of people would tell you they weren't born that way. What made them be able to do that was simply by doing what you're talking about. They asked, well, what happens if I do this? Yeah. What happens if I do that? And then they just do it. They don't just sit there and ponder about it. They actually take action and go do it. And I think that's what separates followers from leaders, is somebody who can take action and go do it.
Well, now, even the concept that a follower and a leader is it. We all are leaders and we all are followers.
We have to be both, because leaders are people who follow somebody somewhere too. Even leaders are following.
Everyone is a leader. Every single person. So the question, that's again what it talks about responsibility is, and then when I've said lead your own life, you already are leading your own life. Do it aware. Wake up. Realize, even by default of being fearful and stuck like something is not going to work out, you are making a choice, whether you're conscious of it or not. So the work that is so important right now is about waking up and open your eyes. We got to stop burying our head in the sand, and we have to stop living in a totally dualistic world. We're not either or. It's yes and. I am a leader and I am a follower. I am an extrovert and I am an introvert. So the more we let go of the labels that keep us divergent and separate us, which we've done because we haven't been very responsible people. We've lived in fear of the other.
Well, and I think we've also created a world where we don't know how to think unless we're being told how to think. And so the labels help us understand how to think.
They're pointers.
They're pointers.
Yeah, they're pointers. All words are pointers, but no word is the thing.
Right.
And that was the brilliance of what Shakespeare, a rose by any other name is still a rose. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what you call it, it's still the thing, and none of them are the thing. But when I say a rose, you kind of know what I'm talking about, but I would almost venture to guess that the rose image in your mind is different than the one in mine.
Probably.
Right now.
Yeah.
So when we realize that we don't have to, we can let go of that. We don't hold on so tight to anything.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, all of our energy and effort over arguing over the small details or the big details that really don't matter. Now we can get to the business of life that really is important and what we really all want.
Is there one tip you can give our listeners that can help them bring some joy or some fun back into their life, that can help them start to bring that curiosity back?
Yeah. How?
How? Yeah.
Yeah, the how acronym. And first and foremost, you have to decide not to take yourself too seriously. You have to just really fall in love with yourself and make that as a conscious choice. And it takes practice. It's a practice. The amazing thing is that change happens faster than you believe possible. We've all heard it used to take 21 days to make or break a habit, is what I'd always heard. Mm-hmm. And then some people say, oh, it's 41, 42. I've heard 62. It's all relative. It depends on where it came from and the emotional attachment. Again, it's all about the thoughts that create an emotion for each of us. We're each individual. What is critical is to develop a daily practice. For me, I've started giving away the peace pages. I know you've used them, Terry. They're free on my website it's a SpinFrogs.life.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you? Because I first want to acknowledge all of the amazing things that you've given us today. You've talked about the 5D principle, you've talked about the 3V principle, and you've talked about the how acronym. And I think all of these things are beautiful in terms of helping us as business owners start to guide our mindsets to a more positive and more forward-thinking space. And they also allow us as business owners to bring some fun back into our life by learning how to ask the best questions. And so what is the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you, to follow you, and to tap into some more of your amazing wisdom?
Oh, wow. Thanks. SpinFrogs.life. That website has contact information to get up with me directly. Additionally, on the resources page of that website, SpinFrogs.life, at the top there's peace pages and a link. I don't even collect your email, the email to put you on my mail list for the peace pages. I put such stock and value. I've been using them probably 6 years in my own life and practice, and do them daily myself. And yeah, pretty much every day. There's a few days I won't, but it's rare, and then I'll pick it back up again. So the peace pages, and behind it, like the more I've studied, those kind of came to me from a myriad of resources, and then the more I've studied the heart math, the brain science, the neuroscience, spiritual teachings and wisdoms from various traditional modalities and wisdom teachings, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're brilliant.
They are. They really are. And
they're magical.
Having used them before, they really are. They're very logical. They allow you to process. They allow you to process that negative, frustration, angry, disappointed emotions that you might feel in the day. But they also allow you to acknowledge the positive things that happened in your day, because so many things happen to us in a day. It's easy to forget all of the amazing things that happen, especially if we have a tendency to focus on the negative or surround ourselves with that negative space. So those pages really did, for me, help me shift into a more positive, focused and more positive space, because now I can find gratitude very quickly in things. And that was primarily because I spent so much time focusing on the peace pages early on.
Well, the peace pages, it's magical, but it takes 1 to 5 minutes a day. You can do them in 1 minute a day, because what it's actually doing is retraining the neural pathways in your brain. So for every negative thought you have, even for every negative word or low energy, like, oh, it's crazy, that energetic consequences of that word that is imprinted in your energy frequency of your body wreaks havoc. And it takes 3 to 7, some people say 9 positive thoughts to counteract the physiological, mental, and emotional effect of that one negative thought. It's powerful. So what's happening in the peace pages is we're briefly naming the pain and frustration of the day. And then what we're doing, hang on, I'm almost at about, hang on.
Yep.
The receptacle wasn't on. Thank goodness for computer notifications. So I got power coming back to my computer.
Oh, that's important. Yeah.
So we then switch from the peace pages are the one negative pain or frustration in a very 1 to 6 words, and then switching immediately to 3 each of I got to, I get to, and I'm grateful for. Here are my successes of the day. Here's what I get to do tomorrow, and here's what I'm grateful for today. And then the lovely thing that wraps it up is I'm blessed with, which brings a quality or a state of being that you really want to be embodying.
Yeah.
So there's 10 things every day that I recommend you do it at night. Some people do it in the morning or at midday break. It really doesn't matter.
So how do people get onto your mailing list, or how do people plug into your social media?
Well, one of the things, and a lot of the things we've talked about today, is actually the core principles that I teach and live by personally. And those are also available on a spaceforgrace.life. I think it's 7 principles to peace, joy, and absolute passion. So those are there. It's an ebook that is free, and you enter your name and email address, and then you'll be on my mailing list to stay in touch. I try not to overwhelm people. I have started just in the last 2 weeks sending out a wonderful Wisdom Wednesday quote. As I've started saving quotes about 4 or 5 years ago, and then tying them to the principles, because as I embody, these are my principles that came out of my life lessons. And that's what I also work with people to help them discover for themselves.
Yes.
The beauty of the 7 principles that I now am sharing and teaching more and more is that they're universal. They're very much universal. And the quotes that is coming out every week is for you to ponder. And all I do is mention a principle number, write the principles in the PS, and help let you think about them yourself. So it's a fun way to kind of help you learn to make a habit of start to ponder and questioning, and your subconscious will carry it throughout the day, whether you're aware of it or not.
I love it. I've so enjoyed having you on the show today. Thank you so much for giving our listeners so much to think about and play with and start to wonder on, so that they can continue to grow. And I hope all of our listeners got as much value out of our time together as I always do. And I'm so blessed and thankful to have you in my life and be able to call you friend. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Terry. Blessings to all.